We have made it to the afternoon, yes.
Thank you for this. You said months of preparation. Could you just talk about what that's been like trying to get everyone on the same page together at the table?
Yeah, well, look, we're a welcoming city, first of all, so that ordinance has been in place for the last 40 years. We strengthened it under my administration. So the moment that President Trump secured enough electoral votes to become the 47th president, we are fully aware of his animus against working people and particularly immigrant communities. So that preparation was making sure that all of our sister agencies and city departments understood their assignment, and particularly making sure that people know their rights. And so that's been a continuous process all the way up until the time in which I had to testify before the Oversight Committee. And then even well beyond that, we've seen this president trample all over our Constitution. So, you know, we've already filed multiple lawsuits, I believe 40 lawsuits. You just saw that the courts have deemed most of his taxes to benefit the ultra-rich or illegal. So this is not a surprise to us in terms of his erratic and petulant behavior. But this is also about making sure that we are strengthening all of our departments across the board to ensure that we are protecting Chicagoans. That's what this is about. Of course, we would have preferred to go through the natural course of the legislative process, and we will continue to do that with our investments. But this is about protecting the people of Chicago.
Can you talk about why you need an executive order to do that? Is this not work the city is already doing, informing people of their rights? What does this executive order actually do?
Well, one of the things that it does is it ensures that there's a clear distinction between our local police department and federal agents. It gives a very clear directive, but it also gives very specific directives to our law department to make specific FOIA requests so that if there's any immigration enforcement that's happening in our city, we have to know about it. Just back in June 4th, there was an entire operation in our city that the federal government didn't disclose. This is about uncovering the truth. But this is also about making sure that every single legal measure that's available to us, that my law department pursues it. But it's also ensuring that all of our departments are in lockstep to protect Chicagoans. That's what this is about. This president continues to go well beyond the bounds of the Constitution to the extent in which our democracy is in peril right now. I'm going to do everything in my power as the mayor of this city to protect Chicagoans.
How important do you think it is to be ahead of this before any federal agents are in Chicago to make sure that CPD and federal law enforcement know how to work together? And there's a lot of coordination that happens between those two, and I think this is a step forward, correct, to make sure that you're taking out federal agents from the shadows and defining what we expect.
Well, look, you framed it quite well, and quite frankly, the reason why this executive order is so paramount is because even though we know that this president is behaving outside of the bounds of the Constitution, it hasn't stopped him, but it stops in Chicago. And so this is about making a very clear distinction between what our law enforcement engages in versus what federal agents engage in. Because look, we have collaborated before, particularly getting guns off the streets of Chicago, the trafficking of drugs, the trafficking of human beings across this country. You know, we have just had a major breakthrough where guns that were trafficked in from Indiana and Mississippi, we were able to interrupt that and get over 150 guns off the streets of Chicago. That's not what's happening right now. And so this executive order makes it emphatically clear that this president is not going to come in and deputize our police department.
Violet Miller, Chicago Sun-Times. I just wanted to ask, these reports that you're talking about, is this what we've been hearing about in the media? Is this a new report that's been confirmed to the city? Where are you guys hearing this? And when will the city residents be informed of what the city knows at this point?
Well, I'm telling you what the city knows, right? And here's what we do know, that the federal government, under the direction of President Donald Trump, is preparing to send an expansive slew of federal agents to the city of Chicago. And whether it's border control, ICE agents, right, this part, which is the most upsetting, is that he has funded the ICE division of the government at a rate that is only second to the American United States government and the Chinese military. And that's dangerous, right? And so we are hearing that he plans to send these individuals to the city of Chicago this week as early as Friday. But let's be very clear what his ultimate motives are, though. He wants to send in federal troops. Make no mistake about it. He wants to send in the National Guard. He is looking to provocate, to justify his failures. And the fact of the matter is, it's disrespectful to law enforcement. Our police department has worked incredibly hard to drive down violence in the city of Chicago. This is not about violence reduction, because if it were, he would be making investments. And I can tell you what those investments have done thus far. 32% reduction in homicides. Shootings are down almost 40%. Shooting victims are down almost 40%. So this is about the militarization of cities. And in the city of Chicago, we're going to be very clear about our position to protect democracy, to protect Chicagoans, to protect our people.
What recourse or enforcement will happen if federal agents or troops break your rule on no masks or show their badge number? Will you sue?
We will use every single tool that is at our disposal, and that includes the courts. It's an area in which at least there's some semblance of check and balance in this country. Look, he's tried to sue cities like mine, and he lost, particularly around trying to withhold federal dollars because we are a welcoming city. And so, yes, we will use the courts if that's necessary.
And did you say as early as Friday, like 6 days from now?
Yes, these are a matter of days. We don't have weeks we're talking about days. And so this is about making sure that we are prepared, that there's a real clear guidance, and that there are absolute directives coming from my office to all of our city departments and sister agencies and to all of Chicagoans of how we can stand up against this tyranny.
Yes, Mayor, the credible reports that your administration is getting, does that include any specific details as to how many federal agents, how many troops, how many armored vehicles? What is like the blueprint? Are they going to have checkpoints, or how's that going to look like?
Well, we don't have those specifics, but what we can go off of what he has done in Los Angeles, and I've been in conversation with Mayor Bass. That's the benefit of this particular moment, that we have been in communications with mayors across this country, sharing what their experiences have been. And so what his ultimate desire is to come into our city, to break the Constitution, and to break our democracy, and to break our city. And Chicago is going to remain firm in our position. We're going to be prepared for anything and everything. And the best level of preparation is to make sure that people know their rights, and that all of our city departments and sister agencies know exactly what I expect of them in the event that the federal government works outside the bounds of the Constitution.
And has your office made any attempts to reach out to the White House?
There is no secret of what I want from the federal government. There's no secret. In fact, he ignores it. $800 million that he took from cities like Chicago for violence prevention. What a slap in the face to the people who serve this city to try to override local authority. We've said fund our education system, invest in affordable housing, ensure that we are collaborating to get guns off the streets of Chicago. We're stopping guns being trafficked in from states that voted for him. And so now we do all of this hard work, this group assignment in the city of Chicago, and he wants to come at the end of the year before the assignment is due to try to put his name on the paper. He is reckless and out of control. He is the biggest threat to our democracy than we've experienced in the history of our country.
Mayor, your executive order is already getting breached with mixed reaction. He's not here. Alderman Ray Lopez tweeting out early this morning, an order not worth the paper it's printed on. In reality, how effective do you think this order is going to be? Because these are federal agents we're talking about. They're taking orders from the federal government, not from the city of Chicago.
Yeah, and I don't take orders from the federal government. Thank you all very much.
Appreciate it.